Good evening and welcome to the City of Isani City Council meeting for Tuesday, May 3rd. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could all rise for Pledge Allegiance. Doing roll call, all council members are present. Any public comment at this time? I gotta back that mic away. None at this time. Any agenda modifications, Ms. Wood?
No, Mayor, there are none.
Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt the agenda by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
We don't have to state your name?
No, Jimmy's here. Approval of city council minutes for April 19th, which was a regular meeting of city council, and March 15th, the committee of a whole.
Motion
I
to approve.
apologize, Mayor, there was a typo on your agendas. It is for April 19th, Committee of the Whole.
It says that, I just read it wrong, apparently.
Oh, okay.
April
Motion to approve.
19th.
This is March 15th.
Mine says-
April 19, March 15, is that right?
It's April 19th
Both
for
of them.
both of them. The March 15th is a
Aha,
typo.
it is a typo then. April 19th and March 19th, okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Collison, a second by Councilman Lundin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Announcements. Committee of a Whole will be Tuesday, May 17th at 5 p.m. City Council will be Tuesday, May 17th at 7 p.m. And a Planning Commission meeting will be Tuesday, May 17th, immediately following that City Council meeting. Any council committee reports?
Just one note, Rum River BMX had quite the weekend, so hopefully brought some local business.
I saw that it was all over social media.
Cash flow this weekend.
That was nice to see.
Record-breaking attendance for a Gold Cup qualifier.
Very nice. Did
I've
you,
been to quite a few across the country, and this Sunday was the biggest one I've ever attended. and
did
it
you
was very good.
partake, Councilman Collison?
My son did.
There was a Collison, but it wasn't Dan.
And Junior.
Working on that.
He is by far not a Dan Jr. He's close, but not his father.
Better looking.
I would agree with that comment. Nothing on the fire district, Councilman Lundin?
Not really.
All right. Let's move on to business items then. K1 is a resolution approving a agreement between the City of Isani and Peterson Promotions for the Community Bulletin Board at Isani Liquor Store.
Motion to approve.
Oh, hold on, Ms. Wood, what is that?
Yeah, so we do have some items to talk about on this. This was from Mr. Peterson, who came and spoke at Committee of the Whole last month.
That's right.
He does have a statement that he'd like me to read on his behalf because he was unable to attend. So what he wrote was, unfortunately, I cannot follow up with this proposal at the committee board with sponsors at Isani Liquor due to Church Softball League beginning Tuesday, May 3rd. I have been in communication with city administration. I have followed up with certain questions from both sides, and my sincere apologies. Sincerely, Christopher Peterson from Peterson's Promotions. So before you, we do have an agreement that Ms. Strand has drafted in discussions with Mr. Peterson. This is to put an advertising board right inside the Isani Liquor Store. There would be some corkboard area for people to put random postings of their own, but then the rest would be on the borders of it, be paid advertisement. As the committee discussed on April 19th, that the city would receive 10% of the funds. He does charge $150, so it would be roughly $150 paid to the city annually. The item for discussion this evening is, city had drafted the agreement to be 1 year and then to be extended beyond the 1 year. However, Mr. Peterson wants it to be an agreement for 3 years. The reason why staff drafted it for 1 year was, do we want there to be consideration that if the city wanted to take on their own endeavors of something similar, or just to see how it was going with what kind of feedback we got from the community, or did the council desire to enter into a 3-year contract, which was what Mr. Peterson's requesting?
I think we should do 1 year, see how it goes, and if we like him, then we do 3 year, or we decide what we want to do then.
I've seen some of his other ones, and
I have two, they're nice.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with 3-year.
I don't
It's
either.
one less thing the city has to take on, and
That's just more staff time having to think around with it. I think I don't have a problem with a 3-year agreement.
All right, I just thought about a 12-month probationary period.
So if we could, if there's a motion, please add in the term of that agreement, and staff will fill that in after the meeting.
is there
Motion,
st-
okay,
oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Dan.
Real quick, there's still, proofreading?
Yes,
gonna be
there
the-
is included
right.
that he would send, it says,
So we have staff proofreading before it posts.
no, we do not have that in there. We will include that.
Not, yeah, then I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
3-year, long as the advertisements are approved through the city. And
So do I-
Motion to approve with conditions, adding to a 3-year contract.
Are we saying 10% or are we saying 150? Just keep it
10%,
150 and whatever.
We get 10% of the 150, or are we just getting 150?
I think 150 is what we're gonna get, but
Yeah.
it just says yearly fee of 150. So I mean, if his
That is
price-
what, correct, that is what he requested to do, was $150, but it was 10% of 15 advertisement, or 10 advertisements at $150.
Okay.
Would we prefer
But
to?
does that
keep-
mean we get
Would we
150
prefer to
no matter
include
what,
both
or-
of that, just in case his price goes up?
Yes,
Would we like to keep the 10% language in there, just in case his cost
Well,
goes
it's-
up?
That's
think
kind of
so.
what I was thinking.
yeah,
I
as
think
long as,
Or,
the-
or
if he,
10%, which is ever greater?
But at the same time, yeah, right, whichever is greater.
The other
I was
side,
gonna say, if it
well,
doesn't sell any spots.
What if he
then-
goes down?
Yeah, we might want the 150.
well, the other side of that is if he doesn't sell all 10,
Yeah, right.
he still has to pay the 150.
he still has to pay the 150, is that what?
I think what Josie said, 150 or 10.
He'll sell them out. That's cheap advertisement for,
We'll see.
I mean, I've never
Every
seen
board-
any of his boards empty.
Yeah, nor have I. They're always packed full, they're like overflowing, actually.
Okay.
motion, I motion to accept with the contract extension to 3 years with the 10% or greater. Is that how you want to say it?
And the proofreading.
In proofreading, yes.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin to accept a 3-year contract with 10% or 150, whichever is greater, and the proofreading, and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. K2, consideration of annual animal control and kennel services contract.
Thank you, Mayor. So at the April 5th City Council meeting, there was discussion about our animal control and kennel services. The proposal was accepted by Online Retrievers, and the action was made for staff to enter into a contract for those services provided by Online Retrievers. However, we did have one item that was missing that had been in their contract previously when they provided interim services for the city, that staff just felt more comfortable coming back to council and ensuring that you knew about this language. So if they do come and collect a dog, and the dog gets brought to their facility, and they provide kennel services for that, and in the instance that the owner does not either want the dog, or does not want to, or they cannot find the owner, and they cannot find a replacement home for that dog who would pay for the services that they rendered, the city would need to pay for those. There is a reduction in the cost for that, but that cost was not outlined in their proposal that we wanted you to be aware of. So the language that we included in there is a section that says compensation from city. And it reads as follows: there is no monthly city fee. If the owner is not identified, has not claimed the dog, or replacement cannot be found who incurs the cost for the fees, the city would incur costs associated with the collection kennel by the contractor as outlined in section C, which those were the provisions that you already read within the proposal, with exception of the per-day kennel fee, which would be at a rate of $20 per day instead of the standard $30 per day. So I wanted you to be aware and make sure that we're still good, and if I could get approval of this contract as written to include that, there could be those fees potentially.
Well, with that in mind, I think we went with that because they were cheaper. With that in mind, would it still be cheaper?
It still would be because most kennel places would charge that
The
fee
city.
eventually.
So I
But it's-
spoke to this lady,
It's
actually.
very rare that they don't find a home.
And I spoke to this lady, and that was exactly what she said was, and I hope it never happens, because I know the 3 of us are dog owners. I don't know if you guys are. But if our dog was to ever escape, and she was to get our dog, what she's gonna do is call us and say there's potentially a fee that we have to pay. And if we say, screw it, we don't wanna pay for that dog, or keep the dog, I'm not paying for it, or whatever the case may be. She then takes that dog and rehomes it for the same cost, maybe more, potentially. Then the city, we had them temporarily, Miss Wood, do you recall how long we had them temporarily? Was it like 3 months?
Yeah, it was less than a year, between 6 and 9 months, maybe?
So in that 6 to 9 months, she did tell me that she had a number of cases that they did pay that fee and nobody ever didn't retrieve their animal. And if they didn't retrieve their animal, she was able to rehome it and there was no fees that ever came back to the city. In that time, we were temporarily with them.
Often there's foster homes that'll take them and pay that fee, and then they'll take longer to find that dog a home.
There was a dog that I think she had. My wife bugged me and bugged me and bugged me, but they have to hold it for so long. I would've went and got that dog in a heartbeat, and if they would've charged me $1,000, I would've paid it. I didn't care. The thing was cute as a button, and my wife loved it. So I'm gonna guarantee, unless that dog is crippled,
But ugly.
it might match me. But I mean, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna take that animal. I almost guarantee it.
Is there a limit on how long we would have to pay for that? I mean,
Is it, I see what you're saying. How many days could that reoccur before we can say, yeah, we're not paying that no more?
I think it depends on the instance. If there was a dog biting incident, hopefully we don't have those, but if there was, there is statutory requirements of how long they need to keep the dog for. I believe that is 10 days. So potentially there.
think you're right, it's
That would be
7 to
the
10.
max, I would assume, and then to rehome it however long that takes and those kind of circumstances, but
That situation, I think it was 7 to 10 days.
Yeah,
think it was
I
a
agree.
holding- They had to hold it for 7 to 10 days, and if the dog wasn't claimed, then they would put it up for adoption and whatever.
You know, they typically do that to see if the rabies is a.
And they have to disclose if that is a violent dog, otherwise they could be sued.
Councilmember
it's-
Gordon, to answer your question, no, there is no set days that potentially they would hold the dog for to rehome if there was a charge or not a charge. From my discussions with Ms. Russell, who owns, or part owner with Online Retrievers, it sounds like she works very diligently to find homes.
yeah, I mean, I think I'm okay with it, I guess. I mean, if it's not something that's gonna happen very often and it's not something that's gonna take forever to find a home.
How often do we revisit this? This is,
Well,
we
what
don't
I,
do this every year, do we?
yeah, Councilmember Gurley, what I'd like to add, this is a 5-year contract. However, there is a 60 days termination clause that's included. So should the city find that, and probably Chief Myers would be the one to maybe track that, find that there's an excessive amount of fees that the city is putting out that we did not anticipate, we could always terminate the contract without cause with just a 60 days notice. So we do have that.
I make a motion, we still proceed with it.
Second.
Motion to proceed by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Wood, was there still in there that she's gotta show proof of insurance and
Yeah, did we
licensing?
change that?
She's already submitted that, yes, and we did add that into the new RFP language that'll go out in 5 years,
Yeah.
or sooner if need be.
Yeah, no, I still think that's just something to protect us all the way down the line.
Yes.
I concur. Let's move on to K3, the approving of the minor subdivision plat for Halverson Acres located at PID 16.029.2300. Stephanie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On April 19th, a presentation was given to you about Halverson Acres, a 3-parcel plat, which is currently a 16.8-acre vacant parcel, to split into 3 parcels with 2 commercial lots near 6th Avenue and a larger residential zone lot to the east. You guys approved it, or the Planning Commission approved it on April 19th, or recommended approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. K4, resolution approving the development agreement for Fairway Greens North Phase 2.
Good evening again. On March 1st, or 2022, the final plat, or 2021, sorry, was approved, or the preliminary plat was approved as part of a larger plan set for all of Fairway Greens North development. And this is the final plat for Phase 2 specifically, which will consist of 21 additional lots to Fairway Greens North.
And that's all meets zoning requirements?
Yes, it meets all of the items laid out. It's exactly the same as the preliminary plat that was approved with the larger development.
You gotta remember, I can't remember last week more than less a year ago.
Yeah, that's good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Lundin and seconded by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Anything in the consent agenda we need to discuss, gentlemen?
I wanted to, what, was the snowplow truck a part of that, of the budget?
Yes, the snowplow truck was included in the CIP planning. It was for 2022 for this year. However, without being able to obtain vehicles, we won't get it until 2023, maybe even later in the year in 2023. That is why you see that it is partially, it's the truck approval, however, not all the attachments yet, because by the time we wait for those bids, we probably will be waiting until 2024. Things are going so quickly that, but yes, it is in the budget.
Right now, if you order the truck and chassis itself, you're looking at 8 or 9 months at best. But then it needs to go to the outfitter, and they're backlogged. So
Where's the open
you're,
burn?
you're talking almost a year and a half before you probably see it.
What's wrong with the current truck that we're replacing?
So the current truck that we're replacing is our oldest truck, that we've been limping along for quite a number of years. Let's see if I have, I feel like I want to call it a 90,
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that discussion. That was, yeah,
pretty
but
old.
I remember we talked about it. I just wanted to make sure it was in the budget.
Yeah.
No, this is one truck that takes an amazing public works gentleman to drive this thing. It can't be driven by all necessarily. So it's been long overdue.
All right.
If you'd like me to get you more specifics on it.
No, that's okay.
I know, from my experience lately, with state bid, if you guys don't know how that works, there's dealerships as far as pickup trucks and truck and chassis for plow trucks and smaller type equipment. Certain companies go out to get that state bid contract. The state only allows them to sell so many under that contract. So, like, the problem we've been running into is if you wanna order like a Chevy work truck, Chevy pickup truck, this year, all, state of Iowa and Minnesota, the contracts are already filled. So now people are starting to order them much earlier for the following year. Typically, you couldn't order that till after the first of the year cause it's for that year's budget, right? So now to get ahead of that problem, it's better to order the year before you have basically the budget for that order.
Yeah, so the
and
city
it's
hall
still
vehicle
a
is
long
the same
wait.
way. We have it in the budget for the new city hall vehicle. We're purchasing one vehicle to replace the two, and we will get it next year, likely.
So
Yeah.
it's a good practice, just the way times are now is like if the chief wants a squad car and it's budgeted for 2023, we better order it the year before.
Yeah, that took 2 years for those fire department to get those 2 Tahoes.
I think those Rangers are a year out or something like that too.
How long were your last cars out? They weren't? Even the black one, or the Charger, I mean? Really?
I think the pickup trucks and the plow trucks are probably a little tougher. Cause they're more, I guess, I mean, you order a squad car there, it's not like you're battling with the public either.
You're
Because
ordering
they're-
a specialty item,
It's a
so to
police
speak.
package, Where
Yeah.
like a Chevy work truck, anybody can buy them. You don't, it's not, they're just, so, but there's a limited number set for state bid.
Wonder
for
why your
those
Rangers
Same
are out
trucks that
so
are available
far.
to the public, so
They're Rangers.
that's where the big problem comes in.
Yep, and then you gotta remember, we're one of about how many there's buying on that state budget, so. I do wanna make notice, it's called, Park Tech,
Vertec hydraulic,
yeah, well, it's the bench and receptacle at the liquor store. If you're not all aware, that's metal coatings.
Yes.
I think we need to have an honorable mention to them for that donation, cause those
Yes,
aren't
it is
cheap.
very nice.
It's a very nice donation.
Only if he puts more in Bluebird Park.
No, we were planning to purchase these. It was a very nice gesture when they arrived that he offered them as donation instead, because we already had them planned to purchase, so it was a very, very nice gesture on their behalf. We are
I think the
greatly
Paulzines
appreciative.
have made every
Where are
bike
they
rack and
located?
bench in the
Huh?
city.
where are they located?
Metal coatings.
Right
No,
on-
I know where they are, don't know the tables you're talking about.
The bench and the
Or the bench.
receptacle, it's a garbage can.
They'll be going right outside. If they're not
Oh,
placed
liquor
yet,
store.
they'll be going outside of right outside the liquor store entrance. So there's that, where
Okay.
the bike rack is, it's gonna be right next to the bike rack, where there's that extra concrete area where there's no landscaping, where it goes from the sidewalk to the building. It'll
Okay.
go right in there.
They made the bike racks, didn't they?
They did, yes.
Is there any notification on the bench or the bike racks that they were donated? By local business or by them?
No, we
or
did not put that on there. I mean, we could.
Something to think
We
about.
just found out they were donated, but yes,
Well,
we
they,
could.
and that's also, you gotta get them to approve that if they want that.
Right, yeah.
He's not gonna want his name on it. He's donated every bike rack we have in the city, and he don't want his name on it.
Okay.
As long as we know, that's all he cares.
Kind of off subject, but we had discussed those benches, maybe purchasing them and having the Lions, that whole deal with, what's going on there?
For the amphitheater?
I haven't dug that deep into that situation yet, so sorry. But
Because
do-
I would-
I am aware of it.
Okay, cause I would purchase one for myself. My only request is I want it up front.
Reserve
Wow,
seating.
the Lundin bench.
Yep.
We did approve the revision to the policy to be able to donate benches, so that part is done with that. So we'll just need to reach out to Lions again and see if there's any interest there of donating a monetary value that we will then in turn to benches.
Because that's what they wanted to give us a monetary, dollar amount
Yeah.
to name the amphitheater, but to me, you put out 20 benches with your name on it is a heck of a lot more than seeing one name on top.
What is the cost of doing that?
I asked Mark Volk about that, and he said they're around $900, if not more.
With the name on them,
Yeah, I would
or is
say
that just a plain?
around
It
1,000.
depended on the style that you wanted, but I think it was anywhere from 900 to 1,200 or so, depending on the style.
Around 900 to 1,200. I think 1,200 was on the high end of it.
We will definitely reach out and hopefully we'll get an answer back by committee and we can report back then.
You'll always have somebody's rear on your name.
Yeah, that's right.
You're back.
They got
We
my
don't wanna
back.
put it on the bottom, we wanna put it on.
Motion to approve the consent
I
agenda.
got one more question.
I do too, so go ahead
Number
first.
5?
Yeah, how'd you know? Wow, yeah.
Steve, I had number 11 on there too, but, so did we already spend the money on the cubicles, or, I mean?
Yes, so the
what's wrong with-
cubicles have already been purchased,
all right.
and that was in the CIP. However, with the costs going up, what we're finding, just like the vehicles, everything we're short a little bit. Not everything, I shouldn't say that, but quite a number of things that we had in the CIP, because the CIP numbers have been plugged in years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. We're finding out that we're just short a little bit, and we do need to have electrical, so this adds the electrical to the
So we're not necessarily paying more for them, we're just short parts.
Well, if the cubicles would have come in at cost when we quoted them out 2 years ago, we would have enough for the electrical. The plan was to have that whole number that we had budgeted for everything. But because the cubicles came in higher because of material, whatever, we need more for pay for electrical.
What was wrong with the old cubicles?
We are adding cubicles because we have people who don't have cubicles.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Who doesn't have cubicles?
I suppose we can do that.
The interns don't have, they have to share a cubicle, and then Jason
Oh.
doesn't have a cubicle, who's our city engineer.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that makes sense, huh?
You can use the
So
closet.
we have a couple new positions that we've added in the last
Put them
3
upstairs.
years.
You can use that mechanical room back there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, motion to approve.
Nope,
consent.
number 8 I got still too. The open, but where do we have a rain garden at BMX? Why have I missed that?
So we have a 1-acre rain garden on the west side.
Or
sorry,
east side,
East side. They are all those swells. There's 4 different zones of the rain garden there. And they're right alongside the building. And those were implemented when we built the building, back in 2015.
No, they were done after that,
Nope, it was
It was-
right with it.
Yeah,
because it was just before the previous mayor resigned, or was, when previous mayor was in office, held office. And rain gardens were a big push, and we voted on doing that thing back then.
The rain garden incentive program was new with in his term, at the end of his term. However, it was in 2015 because I remember Nick Fleschhecker, who was the previous public services director, really didn't want to have the rain garden. And then he's like, it's your problem now, when he left and I took over. So
Okay.
it did happen right after. It wasn't part of the initial bid, but it was added as part of that project.
They're gonna do a controlled burn right next to the building?
Yep, with the supervision of Chief Jankovich, and I believe Public Works might be there to assist as well. As long as the wind conditions are right and they don't have an event happening, yes.
Suppose it's a concrete building, what really would,
It's a metal building.
well, it's even better yet. What's gonna start on fire?
Well, we don't,
It'll
the
make
goal
the
is to
tank
not touch the building with the fire, so there is a little bit of space where it does butt up right to it. Obviously, the flames are not gonna get to that point.
Councilman Gordon better be there,
I agree.
protecting the city's interests.
You probably want somebody a little better than me there.
Okay, I'm done. Anybody else got anything?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
For other communications, I'd like to have a brief discussion on, we do need to have a planning commission meeting to discuss the Rum River Villas. That was the discussion at the last planning commission meeting that was postponed to a later date. Ms. Hillesheim did throw out a date potential for next Tuesday. It sounds like quite a few people are not able to make it or may not be able to commit right now. We do have to get that posted this week. So we're wondering if it would be better, at least if the council members of the Plan Commission are able to attend, if we did it before the next city council meeting on May 17th. We have a very light committee of the whole agenda, starts at 5 o'clock. We would start the special Plan Commission at 6, so hopefully our other members would be able to join. And then council would start at 7. Would that be okay with the council?
I'm fine with that.
How long do you think I suppose you have to have a public hearing too with that?
This doesn't, we don't need to have another public hearing because we did have one and the mayor did open and close it prior to the discussion of postponing it. So we do not need to hold another public hearing on it. It would just be the planning commission's discussion of the item and then whatever their recommendation is.
Is it optional to have another public hearing?
We wouldn't be able to have it on the 17th because we would have to have it posted 10 days in the official paper, so we wouldn't be able to do it on that date.
Okay.
If we did. But we would be able to we could do public comment on it. Would that be sufficient?
That would be fine.
Our next meeting is May 17th.
Yes.
I'm supposed to tour my daughter's new school that day.
In the evening or day?
7 PM. Guess I'm not going to that.
One thing that staff, what I'm going to do also at that meeting is to outline the things that are within zoning that are really not for discussion because they meet our zoning code, and then the items that are for discussion that we need to determine by the planning commission to recommend to the council of the PUD. So we'll be outlining that a little bit different than it was outlined last time, and so hopefully that will help facilitate some directed conversations on that. By having the plan commission prior to the council meeting, we would then add the recommendation to that May 17th city council meeting, so it stays within the timeline that they were on, because we are statutorily required to review their documents within certain timeframes, depending if it's, preliminary or final plat, so we want to keep on task with that too.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, I'm fine with that.
Everybody else good with it?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Therefore, we stand adjourned.